You never know what someone without a body is going to say. The amount of times that I'm sure I have rolled my eyes at a dead person when they have said something, I'm like, I'm trying to be professional here. You're no longer got a body. It doesn't matter for you. I'm trying to hold some standards. So, finished a reading. Uncle came in, stuck his finger in my ear. Now, that's distracting. I'm trying to be professional, I'm trying to talk, and I have a finger in my ear. Now, I had to express it because otherwise the person would have wondered what the hell is going on? Why is Bronwyn gone weird? I had to say this is what he was doing and demonstrate through language everything that he was doing. If I edited it, if I had changed that, then it wouldn't have been holding his personality in the authentic way that he was trying to show me. He was a jokester. He would do that. He also, when he was talking about his sister, he was frank because that's how he was when he communicated. So for him to say, "Hey, I'm going to look after you, sis, but gee whiz, you were hard work when you were alive," that's what he would say when he was here. That's what he did. So, as a reader, we have to keep the readings authentic, keep the language authentic while still being professional. Now, sometimes really challenging, but that's our goal. Otherwise, we're not being true to the personality. We're actually putting it too much through our own filters in the way that we would do it or that would make us comfortable. My name is Bronwyn Jane. I'm a psychic medium spiritual coach. I'm the founder of the Psychic Mediumship College. It's really interesting what also happens in reading. So today, another reading, another adventure. You never know what's going to happen. And you can't even base it on what people book because this was booked as a psychic reading. The person rocked up and they said that it was mediumship. So I don't even know what I'm connecting into when I turn the Zoom on or open the reading door, who or what is going to happen. And then it happens. So we'd gone through the reading. And the gentleman had said to me that we had connected with each other a couple of years ago. I don't remember. When I read, everything just flows through me. I'm not going to remember anything that is said. Uh, Quite often, not even the person I'm working with, because I'm so connected into spirit. So I actually don't remember my clients, sadly. But the benefit is that I can't be accused of just remembering and drawing on my memory because everything just flows through me. And that's how it should be. A reader should not remember anything. They shouldn't remember the client uh, because the information flows through us. This was the case. He took it well. And I said, sorry, don't remember. He did take it well. He'd driven a few hours to be with me. So it didn't feel great that he'd traveled all that way. And then I didn't remember him, but he was okay. So we went through the reading. And in that, I do evidential mediumship. So at the start, I kind of have to lock the person into my energy, and I do it through asking the spirit a few different questions. And that locks them in because we get these yes, no answers. And then they just talk about whatever they want to talk about. And you never know what it's going to be. Now, this spirit, once again, was a bit like the uncle. This was someone's partner. And in this reading, uh, they had a great sense of humor, but they also showed me the complexity of who they were. They talked about the relationship and the dynamic and the lives that these two people had lived over 25 years together. The and the reason why I say the complexity, I often ask spirits, how do you let your loved one know that you're around? Like, what's the thing or things that you do? Because then if the client knows and they can keep an eye out for it, or they don't miss it. And normally it's pretty straightforward. It'll be, I do the thing, right? I bring this into their awareness, whatever it is. This one was like he was building a car. The information that he gave had lots of details to it. He's like, I do this, and then I do this, and then I'm going to do this, and here's the next step. And I'm like, wow. And I said to my client, your loved one is very complicated. He doesn't think in a simple process. It's quite detailed. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what he's like. And so even in death, he's not going to answer a question really simply. He's going to give all the details. And that's what happened. Then we shifted and showed me a few other really intimate moments in regards to connection and talked about his passing. And the reading finished. But he wouldn't go. Uh, the partner wouldn't go. Is still here. He didn't want to go anywhere. And so at the end, the gentleman said to me, uh, he he reminded me, he goes, "Oh, I had a question, but I didn't ask." And that's okay. And sometimes that happens. And he said, "I asked you 2 years ago, and you didn't have an answer to it then." He said, "And I've had readings with other people between your reading and this, and they didn't answer it." I said, "Okay." And I asked his partner, uh, "What's the thing?" And his partner said to me, he referenced that about having this like fluid, but I couldn't feel it because quite often in my body I can feel the sensations. But in this occasion, he didn't do that. But he used words to make me aware of what was bubbling or fluid going up here, but I didn't have the sensation to be able to really describe it. So I just had to say he's talking about this fluid going up here. And the gentleman said to me that that's not what he was talking about. I said, okay. So I said to the spirit, "What's that's not the thing that he's talking about. What are you talking about?" And he said, the spirit then said to me, "There was a procedure not followed." Because he would. I'm like, okay. So I said that. I said, apparently there's a procedure not followed. Um, and he's like, okay, now you're going to where what I want to talk about. I'm like, okay, alrighty. Great. Sometimes clients are going to test us. They're going to want a specific piece of information uh, that's really important to them, but it may not be really important to the person in spirit now. Because once you pass, everything that was important when you were here, it's not always the same. So spirit's going to talk about what's important. Sometimes they're going to answer the questions that are in someone's heart. Sometimes they're not. In this case, he did, but he did it really delayed and later. And so what he referenced was apparently when I said, well, your loved one in spirit is saying that this sensation that's coming up here that reminds me of fluid, even though I can't feel it, that's linked to the passing. And the gentleman said to me, yes, he had ammonia. That's why he went into hospital. I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. I'm a skeptic. Uh, I'm going to question everything. So when I don't understand something, it's gonna drive me crazy, right? So the fact that he's like, yep, that makes sense. I'm like, great, okay. I can then move forward because I'm gonna get in my own way. And then uh, with the procedure, he was showing me that what had happened in regards to there was a miscalculation in his weight, and then based on the amount of medicine he was given, and then that caused the passing. And the loved one needed to know, the client needed to know that because he was told to go home and that when in the morning that his partner would be back on the ward and everything would be okay. But this someone didn't weigh or the information on the form was not accurate. And so the amount of medicine that was given was not what should have been. Did I then ask the spirit, what do we do with this information? That's pretty significant, can cause a lot of issues. Uh, and the spirit just said, it's all good. I was I already told you at the start of the reading program everything that was breaking down wasn't working. Uh, this was this was my trajectory. I was 86 years old. In a way, it just saved me a little pain. Does not help the client at all knowing that because the grief is still the grief. But the spirit was very adamant in regards to doesn't serve anyone to go and ask for an inquiry because this was my trajectory anyway. He knew that he had peace about it. But it also took a question away from the client because the client wondered what had happened. And he had a sense, when I said that to him, he had a sense that something went amiss. He didn't know the details, he didn't get the details, but he just had his own knowing. And that just confirmed that. It also gave him awareness that there was nothing to do about it. That taking any action actually doesn't change anything. So even in that, whilst uncomfortable, can serve. So sometimes our clients are going to test us. They're going to want specific information, but they're going to expect you to just know that now. Our loved ones in spirit sometimes do, and they will say that if it's really important. Other times we might just need to ask them, like I go, "What's the thing, man?" Which is what I do. I go, "There's something that he wants me to say. What's the thing?" And so then we went down that journey, and it was really important to him. And this is why there's two reasons. One, just what I told you, but the other reason is this, and this is how he started the reading. When he turned up and he's like, "Do you remember me?" I'm like, "Got no idea who you are. Sorry." He said, "I've been trying not to see you for a couple of years." I'm like, won't take it personally. Okay. Then he said, "Because I had a reading with you, and this is where the reading was." He said, "And then because you hours drive, you 2 hours drive away, I didn't want to see you again." I'm like, won't take it personally. It's all good. And then he said, "I went to other readers, and it went from here like this." He said, "So I had no choice but to come back because I couldn't get the you and the reading out of my head. And the other readers that were closer didn't help me." I'm like, okay. I made a joke in regards to great. Trajectory can only go one way. I use humor. It's a nice bonding process, lightens the energy, actually lifts our energy. But he had lost faith in the process. He actually didn't know if it was real. That's what happened to him because he'd had the reading with me a couple of years ago. For whatever reason, the other readings were different. And I explained why they could have been like that and how readings work so we could understand why those readers may have given the information the way that they had. Uh, because every reader has a good day and a bad day. Not everyone's awesome. And there's a whole lot of moving parts in a reading that clients don't understand. So I took a moment to explain and educate because it's not about me or what I do. Like, I'm not always awesome, and other people also have their ups and down days, right? So we all have these days. So I wanted to explain that to him because I didn't want him to lose faith. This is real. This is something. We might not be able to quantify it in a where science is right at this present moment, but science is what we know now. Science in 10 years' time is going to be different to what it is now. Just like 50 years ago, it's different to what it is now. And 50 years in the future, it's going to be different to what it is now. So science is the measure by what we know now. Doesn't mean that there's not more. And so I wanted him to understand that because his loved one was desperate to continue to communicate with him. He was doing things. He was touching like and sending the ripples. I didn't want that to be missed. Because when someone passes, they don't go, they change. And you can still have a relationship with them. You need to find a new way to communicate because one has a voice box and one does not. One has a body and one does not. But the consciousness that was that person still is that person. It was demonstrated in the uncle and it was demonstrated in this partner by the things that he said, what he talked about. It went on about a photo. And I said to my client, this photo that he's talking about, it's not a wedding. It's not special, right? As far as what you are doing in this photo, you are sitting on grass, the two of you, enjoying each other. It's more about the energy of the moment that is captured in this photo than the event that you're at. And his loved one in spirit went on about that photo and on about that photo. And then the client said, yeah, we have a photo where we're just sitting in the backyard on the grass. That shows, of all the things that I could have said, right, of all the things, that shows that consciousness exists, hasn't gone anywhere. He then moved on and he talked about a piece of jewelry. Now, they talk about jewelry all the time, so that's less, for me, it's less exciting. But the fact that he went on and on about it and he was pointing and he was making me aware of what I could see, which was like a chain, And I knew that it was the man that was past, but I knew it still existed. And I expressed that. And I expressed of it being worn, right? And the man had it on. The client had it on. Sometimes they're going to do that. They're going to say, "You've got my ring in your pocket and you brought it here while you're seeing Bronwyn." Of all the things that I could say, do the math on that. Work it out. Of all the words that I could put together and string together, work out the probability of me saying these things. Work out the probability of spirit expressing that. Consciousness is real, consciousness exists. And I get you to quantify it in a probability equation that it doesn't. Energy does not begin or end, it simply changes, and we are energy.